Saturday night, I finished A Sea of Sorrow and Scorn by A.P. Beswick. So, how did this one go? Well, I enjoyed this one more than the first one. So, I was wrong, but The Little Mermaid was the only story I could think of that was with the sea. This is more of a story play on Blackbeard and his crew. So, our main characters is Zarina and Ulrich and his sister Isara. It starts off with Zarina and her sisters being in captivity under Morgana and basically being given a choice. Either you join Morgana and her army of magicians or you die. So they decide not to join. Now, one of Zarina's sisters has been driven mad with the use of her power. So that's one of the cautions of magic use is you'll age prematurely and you will be driven mad. So basically she dies with them, but they cut off their heads. There is a mother and her daughter, Isara, and so her mother gets her decapitated. Zarina's older sister gets her head cut off, and then they have Zarina, her other sister, the one that was driven into madness, Isara, and some others kind of in front of barrels, torturing them by shoving their head in the water and everything. And when Zarina's head is in the water, she gets like a vision of her sister, her mad sister, visiting her and just calming her and telling her it'll all be over soon. Meanwhile, Ulrich has just come back from life on the sea. So he's just come back with his wages, goes to his house, finds his mother and sister gone, nothing out of place. The manservant that's still there says that they were taken by the soldiers. And the way Ulrich speaks to him makes you think that maybe there wasn't a very good relationship there. So he goes to the capital where Morgana is, and he is there just in time to see them put his mother's head on a spike. And of course, he gets ticked off, and he goes off and he fights the soldiers that are there, because they have completely, what's the word I want? Desecrated, I guess you could say, his mother's body. He doesn't know where his sister is, but he's really hoping she's alive. So he goes and he's fighting, and at this same time, Zarina has stepped into her power, if you could. She's lighting herself on fire, and she just takes out the soldiers, and everyone else is dead but her and Isara. So she frees Isara, goes with her. They meet up with Ulrich, sees him fighting the soldiers, and then he makes it known that Isara is his sister, and then he takes Zarina and Isara, and they escape back to the sea. So at the port, they find a decrepit boat, and they take that boat, and they are able to escape into the sea. At one point, Zarina falls overboard and is in the water, just ready to die because she's feeling so much pain from the use of her magic. She's in a lot of pain, but anyway, she stumbles and goes overboard. Ulrich gets her back overboard, but while she's under the water, she gets another vision from her sister that basically tells her to go to the island of Varaz and look for a cave that has an elvish map. Yes. And so she tells Ulrich that, and he says, well, we've got nothing better to do. Let's go ahead and go to Varaz. So they go to Varaz, where we meet a character that we've met before, although I don't think I gave his name. So they go to Varaz, They're there. She's swimming in the water, hoping to hear from her sister again. It doesn't happen. She comes out where Sarah and Yilrik are kind of getting ready for breakfast. They eat some breakfast. He goes into the town to do some trading and some buying of things they might need. While he's in town, Isara shows Zarina that her mom has been teaching her how to do magic, and Isara can cause glamours, so she can make something appear to be what it's not. So she needs to keep this from Yilrik because he's going to buy the ingredients of a potion that suppresses the magic. So he doesn't know that she's been using it. So he comes back, and he goes to take a bite of the fruit that had worms in it, and they stop him from eating the fruit, and he's like, what are you doing? And they kind of come up with some kind of story like, we just don't want you to have the fruit or whatever. So they don't tell him that they've been talking about magic, because Zarina cautions Isara against using magic because it can cause pain and harm, cause her to go mad. So they go into the woods. They find the cave. They go into the cave, and they come across this little like lake in the cavern, and there's a skeleton across there. Yilrik goes across there, leaves the girls on the other shore, and he kind of takes the cloak off, and that causes the skeleton to come to life. And not just that one, but other ones that are in the water and everything. But in the cloak, there was a piece of paper, I guess you could say. What was it back then? A scroll of some sort. So Zarina used her magic again to save him, even though he was fighting. There was a lot of the undead dead coming after them. Zarina uses her magic again to help them escape. And of course, it affects her again. He had gone into town to recruit crew members and for someone to fix the boat so that they can get to where they need to go. On the map, they find that they need to go to... Oh, geez. They need to go to another island. I don't think it shows it on here. Anyway, so they get the crew, and Zarina convinces them to take along the drunkard from a tavern early on. Let's see if I can find it. Orjan. So Orjan was the knight that Virio took all the money from because he owed him. And that's the kid that went with Virio was his squire. So Orjan shows up in this one, plays a pretty important role. They get to this island. They have to go through this sea called Hugo's Tears. They get a crew together. The King's Guards are still following them, trying to get at them. It turns out that Yilrik was with the King's Guards. So before they get to this island, they do have to fight these guards. And Zarina shows that she is a witch to everyone on board the ship, and she basically is throwing fireballs at them. And of course, they see how it affects her with the pain and the aging. And then Ulrich, after that, finds out that Isara has magic. Nope, excuse me, it was right before that. Finds out that Isara gets magic because he yells at them both, and that's when his old captain comes to pay a visit because there is a bounty out for their capture. Oh my gosh, where is the name of this place? It's kind of important, Shantra. We have reached Treventine, so land ahoy. Okay, so Treventine's the name of the island that has the Fountain of Youth, so to speak. So they say that the waters are cursed around the island of Treventine, and they lose 2 of their crew getting to the island, from the ship to the island, by a mermaid who apparently eats men when she's in season. Almost gets Urlik, but he gets to shore on time. And one of the crew member ends up killing the mermaid. So they get there and they look for a little cavern, and they find it, and they go in there, and there's traps along the way. It's kind of like an Indiana Jones type thing. So they lose a couple more crew members that way through those traps. And then finally they reach the lake. Well, it fills up into a lake. Orjan is with them, Darmor, Ulrich, and Zarina. Those are the 4 that are left in the cavern. So they look for a chalice in which she can drink from the water to see if it helps cure the curse that the magic causes, a decline in their physical and mental being with magic. But Orjan stops her and says, let me take it first. So Orjan takes the sacrifice, which was needed, and he takes a drink from the chalice, and he ends up turning into this beast of some sort. Loses his mind in the process. Zarina tries to help Ulrich and Darmor fight him off, but she ends up going into the water, drinks from the water, and because she has magic, she gets basically told the secrets. So it's like the elves speak to her while she's in the water, and she has to be able to sort through all that. So she comes through, she says words to Orjan, which helps him get his mind back, but not revert back to his human body. So, yeah, they found the Fountain of Youth, but the only way that she could access it was if a human without magic sacrificed themselves to become the beast. Because I guess this is what the gods did for the elves, to keep the elves from decaying, I guess. You could, not really decaying, from the negative effects of using their magic. And so the elves figure out a way to get the people who were turned their minds back, but they couldn't find a way to get their bodies back. That might be more to come later. So that's basically how it ends. Let me just make sure. I finished it on Saturday, so it was good, but I'm also reading like several other books, and I think maybe I'm just a little busy in life and it's making me mad. Oh yes. In Orjan's claws is poison, and he does get Ulrich. So Ulrich dies when they get to the ship. Sorry, that's a huge reveal, but you ought to know by now that I always spoil my books. Ulrich does die, which is sad because Robin Hood's girl died too. She died in the beginning. So Ulrich died, and Isara gets mad because it's just her and Zarina now. He made Zarina promise that she would take care of Isara. Isara uses her magic to become Ulrich, so that as far as people know, Isara is the one who died, and Ulrich is alive, and they name the boat, finally, Isara's Revenge. So now they're sailing the seas on a boat called Isara's Revenge. And they are out to make sure that all those who are after them will pay, is what they say. So more to come.